This DIY advent calendar is not only budget friendly, it is adorable. You're going to love it. I can't wait to show you. Let's get started. You're going to need some supplies for this project. I'll have everything linked down below in the description below this video, so be sure to check that out if you need any of these supplies. One of the supplies includes these adorable woodland creature printables. I have them ready for you over on my blog. Let me tell you how to get them. Once you're over on my blog at reinventeddelaware.com, you're going to have an option to sign up for my freebie library. It's as simple as giving me your email address, and then I'll just let you know when I have a new blog post or video out. That's it. You get access to all sorts of printables, including these adorable woodland creatures that I've created for you for this advent calendar. Once they're printed on this beautiful watercolor paper, we're on to the next step. Let's get this back panel ready for this advent calendar. I'm using grain sack fabric. Actually, it's reproduction grain sack fabric that I found on Etsy. I'm going to have it linked down below if you want to use it. You could also use a drop cloth if you have a scrap of it. That would work just fine. And what I'm going to do here is measure and mark the size that I want to make. By the way, the size and measurements for all of this project will be in the blog post. I'm going to have that blog post linked down below, so in the description, so you can easily find all those details. But what I'm going to do here is make a little snip in the selvage edge of the fabric, and then I'm going to rip this fabric. What that will do is rip it straight along the grain, and then I know I have an even cut all the way across. It will not rip in a crooked way or off angle or on a bias or anything like that. This is kind of fun to do, by the way. If you've never tried doing this, do it. You just make the little snip in the selvage, you rip all the way across, and you have a straight edge. For the pockets, I did the same technique. I made a little snip at the measurement that I needed, and I ripped all the way across from selvage to selvage, and that gave me one side of the measurement for the pocket. Then I went back and I measured again, and I took a little snip and I ripped it across. I want all four edges of these pockets to have that frayed edge look, and this is the way to do it. I also ripped narrow pieces of this fabric to use to hang this advent calendar. By the way, watch all the way to the end because I have a really cute way to hang this woodland creature DIY advent calendar. The only downfall of ripping fabric like this is you wind up with a pile of threads, but I'm willing to put up with that because you get the perfectly straight edge all the way across. Really, this is the easiest way to do it. In my 40 years of sewing, I have ripped so many pieces of fabric, I can't even tell you. Give it a try. I think you're going to like it. Once I had all the pieces cut out, it was time to lay these little pockets out. Now my calendar is going to have, let's see, what is it? 4 rows of 6, or is it 6 rows? No, it's 4 rows of 6. 6 times 4 is 24. With the measurements that I have, this is just how I worked it out. And what I did first was I just laid them all out to see how they were going to kind of look. And you can see I'm still pulling threads out. I mean, you have to deal with the threads. That's just part of it. Plus, it's still pretty wrinkled. I didn't take the time to iron this. Maybe I should have, so you see a lot of those wrinkles. I decided to add a little fold-down cuff at the top of each pocket, and I'm going to hot glue it. Yep, this is a no-sew project. If you want to sew yours, you certainly can. You would just fold that down, stitch across the top, and you could still have that raw edge showing. I just opted for hot glue. I have several of these to make for my grandchildren, and I needed to go as fast as possible. Now let's attach each pocket to this back. So I've got them all laid out. And by the way, you see, I did not measure where the pockets go. I just laid them out to the best. I just eyeballed it. If you want to measure, you go right ahead. I like the handmade look. I don't want it to be perfect, and that's just how I did it. Anyway, let's attach these pockets. And like I said, if you want to stitch this, you can. I opted for the hot glue. So I first of all hot glued down that bottom edge and I let it cool off, and then I moved to the two sides of this. And the reason that I did that was because I want to create a little gap in the top edge of that pocket. So I put the glue on each side of the pocket, and then I kind of pinched it inward to leave a gap. I want to have a little spot to put a goodie inside that pocket, and this just seemed the best way to do it. You'd have to be careful. You could glue your fingers, and we all know that doesn't feel so good on your fingers. If you decide to stitch this, I would just make sure that you pin it in a way that it gives you a little gap to put the goodie or the candy or the toy, whatever you decide to put in this advent calendar. We'll let that glue cool off completely, and in the meantime I decided to make a little bag to hold the freebies and the little clothespins. We'll talk about that all here in just a little bit, but it was a little bag that could hold all the extras while we are counting down the days. And I just used a scrap of fabric and I made a little bag. I glued it together. I put a little loop around it. This is super simple, no specific size. In fact, even if you don't want to make this little bag, you could just keep the cutouts that we're going to talk about those in a minute, but you could just keep those in a little Ziploc bag or something like that. I just decided to make this with some of the scraps that I had. I had already glued the two sides of the main panel of this advent calendar, and now we're going to glue the top of it. The top is the selvage edge. I left it as is, so it's not going to be frayed looking or anything like that. But what I did here, I just took some of the scrap fabrics that I ripped earlier, and I'm going to use those for hanging this advent calendar. I just opened up that edge there where the selvage edge is at the top, and I glued these in. And that's it. I put one in the middle, two on the ends, and you see that I left them open-ended because this will be tied on to the little thing that I'm gonna tie it onto. Hang on all the way through to the end of this video. I want you to see what I chose to hang this on. In fact, if you can guess what I decided to hang this advent calendar on, I want you to guess down in the comments. Let me know, what do you think I used to hang this advent calendar? Now that you've signed up for my email and you have gained access to my free printable library, you've printed these adorable woodland creatures. Let's get them cut out. So I've provided a little straight line. It's very faint, just so you know where to cut these out at. And I like to use this paper trimmer, especially this one. It has a wire exactly in the spot where that blade is going to go, so you can know exactly where you are cutting. There's no guessing with this trimmer. If you do any kind of paper crafting, this trimmer is so helpful. I'm going to have it linked down below. It's a really great product. I love this trimmer so much. I've used it many, many times. So all you have to do is line up the wire with the that faint line, the cutting line that I have on the printout, and you're just going to run that blade across and cut it. Now, you can cut these cards out in a couple of different ways. You can just make them with straight edges, and they're just adorable like that. But I also have another way to cut them out. I'll show you that here in just a second. The printable comes in two options. You can either choose the printable with the numbers so that you know what specific day for the countdown for the advent and all that, or you can print out the ones without the numbers and you're not kind of locked in on which woodland creature goes with whatever pocket. You also get this cute little Merry Christmas sign. You're gonna love this printout. Like I said, you could cut these with straight edges and it looks just adorable. They kind of make like little cards, but you could also cut out a border, a little curvy border around each one. Now these scissors in particular are very good for this task. They're short bladed, super sharp, and I mean, come on, they're just cute. They're vintage looking, so we all love that. But what I did here was I just cut around that edge, and I'm moving the paper around in a curve so that I don't get any sharp little jagged edges or any of that. and I just kind of move around and create kind of a soft look. This is really cute on the Advent as well. I'm wondering, did you guess correctly about how I was going to hang this Advent calendar? I went outside, I got this branch from our, let's see, what was this? Our river birch, I think. And I just tied those tab pieces up at the top and I left them nice and loose and ragged looking. I like that. And then I took this brown craft wire and I wrapped it around that branch because that's how I'm going to hang it on a little hook on my wall. Let's hang this DIY Advent calendar. Now mine is hanging in my sewing room for now, and that's where it's going to stay until I get the other two ready. Yep, I'm making 3 of these for each one in our family. Our children and their families are each gonna have their own. But in the meantime, let's fill it up with candy. I chose Hershey's chocolates, and by the way, yep, all that chocolate is gone. It's been a whole week. And it was screaming at me. Anyway, the chocolate is gone. I need to buy some more. The fun part is to assemble this thing. So you put the candies or the toys, like whatever will fit in those pockets. Then you pick out the little animals that you want to put on, either the ones with the numbers or without, cut with the straight edges or cut out in a curvy design, however you want to do it. And you use these little clothespins and you attach them to each one of the pockets. I've already attached all of the woodland creatures to each pocket, but what you could do is keep all of the cutouts in that little bag that we made or in a Ziploc bag, and then each day have the child in the family attach one of these little woodland creatures to the pocket with those clothespins. When they attach it, they get the little goodie, and everybody's happy as they count down to Christmas Day. If you choose the woodland creatures that have the numbers on them, you have 2 options. You can start with number 1 and count up to 24, or you could start at number 24 and count down to number 1, and you could do it either way that you like. Now, I have a bonus printout in both of these designs that it's a little gift with a star marking day 25, and you can just add that up to the top of the Advent calendar where it says Merry Christmas. Stay tuned to the end because I have some bloopers that I'm sure will bring some laughter your way. I have a full blog post for this project and so many others over on my blog, reinventeddelaware.com. I've got it linked down in the description. I hope you enjoyed watching this. If you did, make sure that you like and subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss the future videos that I have for you. What in the world? Who are you? Okay, okay, that one was bad. Wasn't that so easy? Okay, my mouth was weird. That was weird. If you enjoyed this DIY Christmas project, you're gonna enjoy this one too. Gonna, come on. This you're gonna love this one. That's gonna have to be good enough. If you enjoyed watching this DIY Christmas project, you're gonna love this one too.